Let's draw Raichu. First, start with your favorite piece of paper, favorite pencil, pen. We're going to use some watercolor pens today, and then we're going to make the special lightning with POSCA, yellow and white. So let's get started. Let's get our used code card, and let's draw the used code card very lightly. Give us approximate size to make Raichu. And we're going to do something special. We're going to make him just a little bit bigger so he pops out of the card. You see how cool that looks. So let's start with his head. Let's make his head about right here. His head very easy because it's very round on top. Let's see if we can get his head to be round on top. And then his face comes down a little bit kind of straight, and his cheeks bulge a little bit. And this side, not so much. And then his chin kind of points down, rounded at the bottom. See how that goes? Like that. All right, and the first ear is going to go about right here on this side of the head. And it's a round ear like this. And let's have it poke out of the card here. And let's get that about like that. See how the ear has a little stringy things? I'm not going to draw that. I'm just going to make it come out like this. Maybe like that. Maybe a little bit like that. And we'll erase this part inside here. Oops, erase too much. That's okay. Let's get this back. Oh, something about like that. Let's see how that works for us. Come over here and we'll do this ear. It's about even. Sits on the side of his head. Comes out like that. And we'll do like this, and then we'll fill that in. What do you think about that? Something like that. And then this eye, it's almost all the way even with this ear, and it's kind of like an angry eye, slanted like this. Let's start with that, and then this eye comes over here. We might have that ear a little bit too close. Let's do that again. That happens when you're an artist. Let's put this eye over here, and his button nose. It's a little bit more on this side. I'm going to do this ear again, and that happens. This ear is a little more over here. Still about even. Bottom is even here. And it kind of swoops a little bit more like that. There, that's better. See, sometimes when you're an artist, you have to redo a section. And we'll do something like that. All right, I'm happy with that. Not perfect, but that's okay. And I'm going to make a little circle here because we're going to see if we can make a bright cheek, and then a bright cheek over here. And let's get his mouth. And his mouth, the top of his mouth is here. And it kind of almost starts with a smile. Kind of almost starts with a smile. And then it's big like that. And then he's got his tongue in there, something like that. Let's leave it like that for now. And then his body is kind of easy. He's got, the top of his hand is kind of stubby. It's about here. About this much. Not that big. Almost like a gingerbread man hand. Okay? And then this hand is over here. Same kind of thing. Just kind of stubby. Kind of like a gingerbread hand. Gingerbread man hand. Okay. So its chin is here. His chin is about here, and we'll get that with the shadow. His white belly is about like this. We'll see it's even with this ear. So his belly got to come up about there, and then about here is the other side. So we'll make a circle-ish, sort of like that. kind of maybe flat on the bottom. Okay, and this leg, so he's got some body that comes over here, about like this. And then this leg, the top of his leg, is about like this. And then he's got his feet. He's going to have some shadow here. And then his feet come out. Since we can't see it super clearly, let's look at the other toes. And they're kind of just like 4 little bumpies. 3 little bumpies. Let's do 3 little bumpies like this. 1, 2, 3 little bumpies. Kind of like that. That'll turn into 3 when we go to use our pen. And this leg is kind of in behind. And then this leg, it's got a little bit of body that comes around like this. And then his leg, a little bit about like that. And then this foot has the 3 toes that come off. So the foot starts like this, which is yellow. And then he's got 3 toes. Kind of like that. Let's try that. Let's try that. Make sure that his body, might have to bring his belly to come a little more circly. There we go. Let me erase a little bit of this. Okay. Okay. So let's get our favorite pen, our liner, and start getting a little more detail. So let's go back up to the top of his head like this. We'll get his ear like that. About like that, and then this ear. About like that. Not too bad, not too bad. And then I keep going around his head. I'm going to stop about there. And then this part, I'm going to stop about there. Okay, and then I'm going to get his eyes. Just kind of down like this. And this one too. Down like that. He definitely has a little circly button nose. Got it. And then we can do the corners of his mouth like this. It comes up, loops up like that. Didn't get that perfectly, but that's okay. And then we're going to get the bottom of his mouth like that. Oh, that's good enough. Okay, let's switch over to his body. The first arm, get this part of his body, and his leg. That's foot, and now we'll get those toes a little bit better like that. There we go. I'll move over here. Get those toes about like that. There we go. Raichu's coming right along. Let's see if we can get his belly. There we go. There he's coming along. All right. So now I'm going to erase a little bit of the pencil just to make it a little bit neater. I'm going to leave a little bit of the cheek marks there, not erase it all the way. There we go. Now I'm going to use, let's get some color on him now. I'm going to start with yellow, and we'll do this yellow first. Inside his ear, and we'll go ahead and put yellow on this side of the ear, even though this is kind of brownish. And then we'll start getting yellow everywhere. I'm going to leave that, try to get it a little bit white. Leave a little bit of white there, see what happens. And then get yellow all the way except the very end of his hand. This one too. Get a leave the belly white. So we'll come down here. And we get all the way down except for the end of his toes. And same here, all the way down his foot and thigh, except for the end of his toes. Okay, I'm going to get another one. So this was lemon yellow, and I'm going to get one called golden yellow, which is a little bit darker. I'm going to come over here. It's a little orangish, but that's okay. I'm going to start getting a little bit where there's some shadow. I'm just looking at the card and putting some shadow where some shadow is. Definitely has shadow, like underneath here, around his ear, around his ear over here, definitely around his mouth a little more. Let's get that mouth next. We want a little bit of pinkish. I like this pink. We're going to use light pink. And we'll get the inside of his mouth. It kind of looks like his tongue. But there is some dark in there. So we'll leave those white spaces, but we'll come back and we'll put a little bit of dark in there. All right, I'm going to come back to my liner. I'm going to try to get his eyes now and leave a little bit of white. See if I can do it this time without having to come back with POSCA. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave that. And let's see if we can get on this side too. I think I got it. Almost. That could be a little bigger. I'll come back with the POSCA marker and make that eyeball just a little bit bigger. All right, I'm going to get a brown out, but this brown is called ginger. So let's do some of the brown parts. So we're going to do this part. His ear. And this part of his ear, and then the ends of his hands like this. It's okay if it goes out of the line a little bit. And here. And I'm just going to make a little bit at the bottom, because when we come back with the watercolor pen to help blend it, you'll see what happens. And then a little tiny bit here, here, a little more shading here, and definitely his toes. Definitely the toes over here. Where else do we have some shading? Like right here. And here. And let's get the water pen and do some blending. See what we can make. Raichu. Alright, so we got our pen. And I'm going to start putting some water like this and see if I can blend some of that shading. Maybe even some of that brown. Go around, see if it mixes up a little bit. There we go, it's starting to mix. See if we just touch that, make a little bit of shadow in the white, because in the card he has a little bit of shadow in his belly there. So we'll do that. Down here and get his feet. Going, fill that space in. Had a little bit of white. See if we can get that to blend. Yeah, there we go. That's blending nicely. And then we want this to blend really well. Get that shadow right under his chin. I'm going to work on this just for a minute. See if we can get that to come down. Just about like that. Not too bad. All right, I'm going to let a little bit of ink come around his belly to see if we can make that look like it's roundish. Not too bad. Okay. There we go. We'll call that good for right there. And let's see what else. There's a little bit of shading in his ears. And I'm going to get the shadow, the Tombow shadow pens I like to use. Yeah, see if that makes, yeah, that's good. We'll get that a little bit darker. See how that's darker? And then we'll get it a little bit darker here. I'm going to do a little bit darker here. ends of his hands. And then his toes too. I have a little bit. Boop, bloop, 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 bloop. Just like that. Maybe a little bit there. And here, like in his thigh. And here. Okay. I'm going to come back with the yellow, and I'm going to get really close to his eye. Just like that, so that's nice and neat. Still haven't decided what I'm going to do with the cheeks, so I'm not going to do anything right at this moment. Alright, I'm going to get my black liner again and see if we can make his mouth. Finish that up just like that. Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good for a Raichu. Let's see what else we want to do. Oops. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to leave the cheeks just like that because we're going to add some POSCA to that. But before we do, let me think about adding a little bit of background around him with some light colors. He's got a little bit of blue in the background and some darkish up here. What would happen if we just did all bluish? And let's use the sky blue. Let's see what happens if we just start to fill out just nice and easy like this. What would happen? He's got this little bit of a pink streak. Let's try that. Let's try it with this rose carmine. And it comes, that line comes about like this. That's kind of cool. See, sometimes you might think it's hard to do a background, but then you just do it step by step and nice and easy. It turns out to be pretty easy. So let's leave that stripe there, and then I'm going to come around here and try to fill in with blue, at least on this bottom part. Okay? And it turns into more yellow on the card. Let's decide about that in a little bit. Okay, and you'll see why having a background is important this time. So I'm going to come up to about his arms, and then I'm going to think about having another color. A darker blue, or maybe a purpley. Let's try purple. That would be cool. So I'm going to have a line continues through his body about here. And let's look for a purple. Let's see what we got. We got violet. Yeah, let's try violet up here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Let's fill in all of this in the background. And then we'll fill in between his ears with violet. Try to get to the edge of that border there. Top of his head. Fill that in with violet. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to come back over with our watercolor, or the water pen. All the way around about like this. There we go. That's coloring in really nicely. How many of you thought backgrounds were difficult? You can leave it in the comments. Like, I thought backgrounds were difficult, but now that taking lessons with Rabid Pikachus, you're finding out, oh, backgrounds are kind of easy. All right. And let's go back to that. Let's find something. This is called golden yellow. I'm going to go all the way down here and do golden yellow at the very bottom of the card. Just like that. And I'm going to do not so much, so it could be just a tiny bit lighter. Okay, now the real test. Let's see what happens when we get the water pen and just kind of make it a little bit blended. Try to fill in the spots that have some white. It's looking pretty good. You like how yours is coming along so far? Alright, I'm going to wipe that off with a paper towel and switch over to the blue. And if it mixes a little bit, that's okay. Like right here, see how it mixed a little bit? That's fine. Get the blue down here in the background. And a little bit of blue here. Try to get that. See, if it blends, that's okay. Mixes the color a little bit. That's okay. And I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to get this rose carmine, pinkish, like this. And I'm not going to wipe it off this time. I'm just going to keep going so it kind of has a gradual blending. Yeah, that's cool. That looks good. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Get right here a little more, a little bit right here. Now for sure I need to let this dry a little bit. So I'm going to push pause on mine, and you can let yours dry a little bit too. And we'll be right back in a second. And we're back. That was just a few minutes to let most of our watercolor dry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of a shading. I'm going to do just a tiny little bit more shading. I'm going to use the number 95. And I'm going to come down here, make sure his chin comes out. About like that. You can really tell now that he's got a chin there. And let's see where else I want some shading. A little bit here, a little bit around his belly like this to make it really look like it's got some roundness to it. Bring that shading down a little bit more. A little bit like this. That part of his foot. Maybe like that. A little more right here. A bit like that. And around his ear. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right. Let's see what order we should do this in. So we got to redo our border. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and just redo our border. And look how cool we got his ears and just a tiny bit of his foot sticking out. I'm going to get my favorite liner. And let's go over this. Getting close to done, but we're also getting close to the most fun part. Okay, let's get this line and this line here. Now I'm going to let that foot pop out a little bit. All the way around here, and then over on this side, and then all the way to that ear. All right, that looks fantastic. Okay, I am going to do the shading now on the card to make it look like the card is sitting out. So very carefully, I've got the number 75 here. Straight down. I'll go ahead and go over the toes. That's fine. Like this. And then I'll come across here. And get that. Perfect. If you want a little bit darker, you can do darker, but that's how I'm going to do it this time. And now the most fun part. Let's put that electricity all around. So I've got the white POSCA and the yellow POSCA. I'm going to give him a good POSCA shake. And I'm going to start with his cheeks. I'm going to make those white, and while it's immediately, right now, I'm going to get turned to the yellow so that the colors blend. So it's like a whitish yellow. Let's see if that works. Just like that. And then I'm going to do a tiny more white on top. See if we can make those cheeks glow. There we go. How's that turning out for you? Okay. So I'm going to wipe this off on an extra piece of towel. So it's only white, but it's okay if a little yellow's on there. And now I'm going to make the electricity. He's got electricity. I'm going to hold the pen kind of loose, and it's going to be okay just to let it go. Boop, boop, boop. A little bit of electricity like this. A little bit of electricity coming over here. Back it and like that. And a big bolt of electricity coming here and on the edge of the card. Like this and like this. And while that dries a little bit, I'm going to shoot some electricity boop boop over here. And there's a bolt that kind of comes over here like this. And a zigzag under here and on the edge of the card right there. Alright, we might have to let that dry. Oops, there's a big hunk of ink and paper. I'm wiping that off on the paper towel I have. Alright, now I'm going to switch to yellow. See, that's why it's a little bit important to let that dry, because it's not really bright yet. So we might have to let it dry again and go over it. So let me get the yellow. And there's definitely a yellow zigzag here. I'm not really going to do that. I'm just going to make some lightning with yellow. Like this. And just kind of messy. It's okay if it goes over his hand. I'm going to do some down here. This one comes over here. Come back over. There seems to be like a lot of electricity right here. So do that one more time. And it can even come out to the border. Okay. What I'm going to do, I have these new gel pens. Let's see if that helps. These are called Jelly Roll. And I'm going to use the size number 10. Let me see how white that shows up. Oh, that shows up a little whiter. Let's do that then. Let's go bump. Electricity. More electricity. More electricity. Just like that. It could be sloppy, messy, and lines. Just like that. Over here, and this one kind of does a loop-de-loop. Loop-de-loop. And then all the way over here. And I'm going to put a few over here like this. I think we can call that almost done. Let me see if I can fix his eye. I want his eye just a little more. Hey, it's not too bad. What's up, Raichu? Okay, let's call that done. Thank you for drawing Raichu with me. Thank you for being part of the Rabid Pikachus. Thank you. Thank you very much. And make sure you subscribe so you can come back maybe later today. Definitely tomorrow. We'll draw another Pokemon character or a custom. Thanks for watching.